the Kenyan government responds to a deadly cholera outbreak by shutting down a Nairobi hotel. The founder of e-commerce giant Alibaba visits the continent for the first time. And the juice is loose, almost. O.J. Simpson is granted parole. Africa 54 starts right now.
Well, good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. A deadly disease has Kenyan government officials extremely worried and residents on edge. An outbreak of cholera has forced the government to order the immediate testing of some 500,000 people in the food handling business over the next 21 days after 4 people were confirmed on Wednesday to have died from the disease in Nairobi since May. The spread of the disease has surged since April, affecting Nairobi and the large refugee camps of Dadaab and Kakuma. Cholera, which is spread by ingesting fecal matter, causes acute watery diarrhea and can kill within hours if not treated. Authorities have registered over 1,200 suspected cases and 14 deaths between the start of the year and July the 17th. A hotel and a popular restaurant in Nairobi have been shut down to control the spread of the disease. Cleopa Mailu, Kenya's health secretary, says at least 79 people with confirmed cases of cholera have received treatment in various Nairobi hospitals, and authorities are setting up 10 more treatment centers to cope with the outbreak.
So what we are seeing is an outbreak which is widely spread. So far, 381 patients have been seen, not recently, since May, since April, towards the end of April. At the moment, Kenyatta National Hospital has 101 patients, 67 of whom are here and have been confirmed to have cholera. And of course, we won't go into the details of what type of cholera, because it seems is one strain of cholera which is affecting all these patients.
Local authorities in Nairobi have been ordered to repair all broken sewer lines and ensure all water vendors and their water sources are certified. The World Health Organization says cholera is reported in Kenya every year, but large cyclical epidemics normally come every 5 to 7 years. The WHO says this outbreak of cholera in Kenya poses a high risk to the region and a moderate threat globally. The United Nations says it is concerned about any allegations of human rights abuses following a report by Amnesty International detailing cases it says were torture committed by Cameroonian troops. UN spokesman Farhan Haq, reacting to the report Thursday, says it is important that in all situations the human rights of a person are respected. In Thursday's report, Amnesty says Cameroonian forces tortured suspects in a campaign against the Islamic group Boko Haram, with much of the torture happening at a base used extensively by American troops and visited by French ones. The report documented over 100 cases of arbitrary arrests and torture by Cameroonian troops charged with fighting the insurgents between 2013 and 2017. The report revealed that some of the victims were tortured to death.
Obviously, any fight against terrorist entities, whether it's Boko Haram or anyone else, has to be accompanied hand in hand with respect for human rights. We've made that very clear over and over again, that if basic human rights are not observed in a fight against terror entities and terrorism, the entire battle could be lost. Part of what you're trying to do is make sure that the population themselves feel respected by the authorities under which they live. And so it's our point of principle that that human rights needs to be respected throughout by whatever authorities are conducting counterinsurgency or anti-terror operations.
Boko Haram has been fighting for 8 years to recreate an Islamic caliphate around Lake Chad, where Nigeria, Cameroon, Niger, and Chad meet. Exiled South Sudanese opposition figure Riek Machar has declined to renounce violence or declare a unilateral ceasefire. Instead, he is demanding a new peace talks outside the war-torn country, according to an international mediator. Former Botswana President Festus Mogae, who chairs the Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Commission, told the UN Security Council Thursday that he recently visited Machar. Machar is now being held in South Africa to stop him from stirring up trouble. South Sudan descended into civil war in 2013 after President Salva Kiir fired Machar as his deputy, unleashing a violent conflict that has spawned on factions often following ethnic lines. South Sudan has since launched its own national dialogue while fighting has continued across the country. The UN has warned of a possible genocide as millions have fled their homes. Crop harvests are devastated because of the worst drought in years, and millions now face famine. A Nigerian court has ordered the temporary seizure of a $37.5 million property owned by former oil minister, according to the state news agency. It's the latest move related to graft allegations against a linchpin of the last administration. Diezani Alison Madueke, a key figure in the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan, served as petroleum minister in the OPEC member country from 2010 to 2015 and has been bogged by corruption allegations over the last year. Now, according to the complaint, from 2011 to 2015, Nigerian businessmen Kalawale Akani Aluko and Olajide Omokore conspired with others to pay bribes to Alison Madueke in return for these improper benefits. Alison Madueke used her influence to steer lucrative oil contracts to companies owned by Aluko and Omokore. The complaint alleges that the proceeds of those illicit awarded contracts were then laundered in and through the United States and used to purchase various assets subject to seizure and forfeiture, including a $50 million condominium and an $80 million yacht. Now, the scales have tipped in the fight against AIDS. The United Nations AIDS Executive Director, Michelle Sidibe, told a news conference in Paris on Thursday that more than half of the people infected with HIV are now getting treatment, and AIDS-related deaths have been cut by almost half since 2005. Now, in its latest global report on the pandemic, which has killed around 35 million people worldwide since it began in the 1980s, the UN agency says there were particularly encouraging signs in Africa, a continent ravaged by the disease. Eastern and Southern Africa are leading the way, reducing new HIV infections by nearly 30% since 2010. Malawi, Mozambique, Uganda and Zimbabwe have gone further, cutting new HIV infections by 40% or even more since 2010. Well, in Southeast Africa, Malawi is relocating 500 elephants from the southern part of the country to a wildlife reserve farther north. The goal is to rebuild elephant populations decimated by poaching and conflict with local residents. Reporter Lamek Masina was with the elephants as they began their journey from the Majeta Wildlife Reserve in southern Malawi.
Poaching has decimated Africa's elephant population, but these elephants aren't under attack. Helicopters head the family groups and then shoot them with tranquilizer darts. The sedated elephants are loaded into the specially built crates to begin the 400-kilometer journey to their new home, the Nkota Wildlife Reserve in central Malawi. The conservation non-profit African Parks has relocated about 300 elephants in Malawi since the exercise began last year.
What we are doing now is creating a tourism product for Malawi so that, tourists, when they come out of the country to other countries or coming from outside countries to this country, they should be able to see that we have a product and wildlife is one of them.
Poaching and conflict with local residents have wiped out the Nkotakota's reserve elephants population from 1,500 elephants to less than 100 early this year. Protecting these new arrivals is a concern.
We've made sure that we have the fence, we have trained personnel, equipped personnel, but above all, we have mobilized communities to make sure that they support the cause of conservation.
Back at Majeta Wildlife Reserve in southern Malawi, park officials say transferring some elephants to Nkotakota will ease overcrowding.
Long term, we would aim to have between 250 or 300 elephants at Majeti. So, as you can see, with 430 plus animals here, we have exceeded the natural carrying capacity that we'd like to have long term. And that's why we are doing this activity.
And the arrival of more elephants at Nkota Wildlife Reserve is already having an impact.
From zero, it's getting to 300 visitors so far, like this year, meaning that I think there is tremendous improvement.
The final phase of the relocation is expected to end in August. Lamek Masina for VOA News, Majete, Malawi.
Well, I want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our show live on Facebook, so check us out and share our show with your friends. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince McCory. Now, coming up, words of encouragement for Kenyan entrepreneurs from the founder of an e-commerce giant. Stay with us.
News and notes. This is Living Better.
Young children like the outdoors, but they don't like to cover up. More than half a person's lifetime ultraviolet light exposure occurs during childhood, so sunscreen protection is important for kids. How to do it? Dr. Melissa Piliang of the Cleveland Clinic suggests letting them put it on themselves.
The little kids love to smear things on themselves, so if you let them have an active role in it, they'll be more likely to be agreeable.
Fair-skinned kids are especially vulnerable to the effects of the sun, and Dr. Piliang says there are other sun solutions, such as clothing made so sunlight can't penetrate the fabric.
Clothing with sun protection in it can be very helpful. That you don't have to reapply, you don't have to worry about missing spots. You put it on once and you leave it on.
Piliang says wide-brimmed hats are another good idea for kids. Health experts say that children and teens that have a history of blistering sunburns are at a higher risk for skin cancer later in life. I'm Martin Seacrest for VOA's Living Better.
Well, Alibaba Executive Chairman Jack Ma is visiting Africa for the first time. His first stop was in Kenya. He said Thursday that after meeting young entrepreneurs and being impressed by the East African nation's broadband infrastructure, his company would consider a joint venture with a Kenyan investor. Ma, who founded the Hangzhou-based e-commerce firm, says the dozens of Chinese entrepreneurs who accompanied him had also been stirred by locals' drive to build businesses. Earlier, Ma met Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, where they held discussions centered on how to empower the youth through trade and innovation. Ma, accompanied by 38-member Chinese member of commerce who are in the country in search of multi-billion-dollar businesses opportunities, gave a speech praising Africa's passion and ingenuity.
The whole world today is worried. I don't know why. Everybody's worried. The whole world today is puzzled. But Africa, I see people have a passion. People have ideas. People say, this is the future, because I think we have nothing to lose. Europe has a lot to lose. America has a lot to lose. Those countries worry about losing. They have a lot of puzzle. But Africa, I don't think you have anything to lose.
Well, Ma encouraged the youth to start up businesses and promised that he is willing to help them sell products through Alibaba platforms. Now, civil service leaders on Friday called a strike in the Democratic Republic of Congo, demanding pay raises to help workers cope with the mounting economic crisis. The franc has lost 40% of its value in the past year, with a particularly sharp decline over the past week amid political turmoil and persistently low prices for Congo's key commodity exports. Inflation is expected to top 30% this year, but wages remain unchanged. The strike comes on the heels of a report just released alleging that Congo's President Joseph Kabila and his family own stakes in more than 80 companies at home and abroad that are likely worth tens of millions of dollars, as according to a report by the US-based the Congo Research Group. Now, the report is based almost entirely on public records like land titles and incorporation documents. It is the most comprehensive mapping to date of Kabila and his family family's fortune after 2 decades in charge of Africa's top copper producer. Well, Kitty Joyce Mary is only 6 years old, but this young student from the Bridge International Academy in Uganda could be a world chess champion. Webdan Sebakija of Uganda's NBS TV introduces us to this little queen of the bridge.
I arrived at the Bridge International School in Nsumbi, a small town in Chebando, in time for the afternoon revision. The academic manager, Prosin Sereko, guides me to P3, where kids are in a math class revising for their upcoming exams.
What did we have in total, class? 300.
Among these is this 6-year-old princess, Kitty Joyce Mary Ndagizimana. Attentive as the word, Kitty listens to teacher Immaculate like her life depends on her. No wonder she is the best in this class.
Did we write 13? No. What did we write? We write 3 and carry 1.
The secret to her genius, I later learn, lies on a chessboard. Not one who easily falls for hearsay, I then request to test her game. This 6-year-old P3 student is the head girl and the undisputed chess champion here. A chess bully is quite more fitting a name I discover as more of my pieces disappear. Kitty is an aggressive player who smartly calculates her moves and executes her strategy to the latter. She is no Magnus Carlsen, no Garry Kasparov, but this little miss is a genius in her own right. As I labor to save myself from the embarrassment of losing to a 6-year-old, her coach Mukalazi John is not taken aback by what he's watching. It's clear on his face that he's watching a customary game that always has one outcome. Against poor me, the routine ending is only delayed, but sooner or later, it is done. Concentration is very key in a game of chess. Kitty right here doesn't even blink an eye when playing in a game she so much wants to win. Such a game certainly has an impact on her performance in class.
If you're learning, you have to think about learning, but not thinking about chess while you're learning, and not playing chess when you're thinking about something to eat. I struggle hard to remember that if we play this move, it has to do with the reason, and you have to checkmate in this way, you have to pin in this way, and these are also minor pieces. Minor pieces are bishops and knights.
Her grandmother, Gertrude Chiza, is her #1 fan. She's amazed by how this chess prodigy knits well the board and school.
Chess needs concentration, and she concentrates very much. That means in class she can also do the work better. It's mainly mathematics.
If such is remarkable, what is unusual though is Kitty has played this board game for barely a year, winning the under-8 category of the Premium Chess Tournament, her first big event.
You teach her something, she tries to draw out the patterns within the brain and make those good moves.
Being a lawyer is her future dream. She plays board 5 for the mighty Bishop Chess Club in the National League. Oh, what a cute little talent. Web Daniel Sebakije for NBS TV, Kampala, Uganda.
Indeed, a cute little talent. And it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, one of the most notorious inmates in the U.S. is granted parole. We'll be right back.
But Africa, I see people have a passion. People
Allons nous engager avec détermination, avec beaucoup d'énergie.
Welcome back to Africa 54, and here's what's trending. Former NFL football star O.J. Simpson won his bid Thursday for an early release from prison after an Nevada parole board unanimously granted the request. He could be out from behind bars as soon as October 1st. The 70-year-old Hall of Fame football star has served nearly 9 years at a medium security lockup. He was convicted in 2008 for an armed heist at a Las Vegas hotel in which he and a group of men tried to recover sports memorabilia that Simpson says belonged to him. That incident that earned him his minimum 9 to 33-year-old prison sentence. It was the sensational 1995 trial and acquittal for the murder of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman that has ensured Simpson her life of infamy. One next up, addictive, yes, but subversive? While state-owned Rosier 24 claims that fidget spinners were sold at opposition rallies and online advertisements for them to lead to YouTube channels promoting opposition politicians. Now, fidget spinners, toys usually made of metal designed to keep hands occupied, have taken the world by storm in recent months. Russia's consumer watchdog says that it is concerned about an aggressive promotion of spinners among children and teenagers. The Consumer Oversight Agency says it has teamed up with researchers to study the influence of fidget spinners on children's well-being. Well, and finally, city officials in Helsinki have created 2 complex digital 3D models of the Finnish capital, enabling them to conduct high-tech urban planning with the click of a mouse. The models can also be used to assist businesses, tourism, building management, and rescue authorities. In what's claimed to be a world first, tech experts used a combination of measurements, modeling, and city information to create a smart semantic city model and a high-quality mesh model. Now, the semantic model is more than just a 3D image. The various buildings and objects in the model contain data about themselves. This means a computer can understand, for example, which elements of the image are roofs and which are walls. And that is what is trending today. Now, Surf's Up. After the water was cleared off sharks, the World Surf League event in South Africa was able to compete, or rather to complete this week's competition. VOA's Caroline Turner recaps the action.
Felipe Toledo of Brazil scored a perfect 10 for his aerial skills during his surfing heat in Jeffreys Bay, South Africa. 2 back-to-back alley-oop rotations had the crowd whooping and clapping, and then Toledo continued before he'd had enough. Toledo scored a 9 on his other wave, so he won his heat with a 19, beating both Jordy Smith and Jillian Wilson. Earlier, the round 3 heat had to be suspended after a mako shark was spotted leaping out of the water. The Jeffreys Bay event, known as the J-Bay, has a reputation for attracting sharks. In 2015, the final heat between Mick Fanning and Julian Wilson had to be stopped when Fanning was attacked and shocked but not hurt while surfing. The surfers were whisked away to safety by riders on jet ski craft, and the competition halted until the shark went away. A shark boat patrols the event, looking out for signs of fish, and the boat almost joined the competition. The Shark Patrol boat got caught out by the waves and had to ride its way out of trouble, to the delight of the crowd. Carolyn Turner, VOA News.
And it's time for Music Makers Friday, and today we feature Congolese artist Héritier Watanabe. Here to tell us more about him and his music is VOA RM Music Program host Roger Muntu. Hey Roger.
Hey Van.
Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
You know, this guy somehow, I think he kind of many times falls under the radar.
Yes.
But recently got some a lot of publicity in France.
A lot of publicity in France, exactly. Let's first die. Héritier Watanabe comes from We're a Son, when Musika stands. Right. So that made him already who he is.
Yes.
So he had decided to go solo and start his own career. And the career is doing great, except that recently, as you just said it, the contest right now, he had to have a concert 2 weeks ago, a week ago, I'm sorry, in Paris. But there's this movement. Several Congolese artists now, including Watanabe himself, Papa Wemba, Fally Ipupa, they are recently being accused by opponent of President Kabila of the DRC of being close to his regime and having sung on the trail of
Campaign
2016, on 2011 campaign. So that was a mess in Paris.
Otherwise, he's a great artist, I suppose.
Otherwise, he's a great
I want to
artist.
watch this video. What is it talking about here, very briefly?
Oh, I'll tell you what. I want you to watch it first.
Let's watch it first.
Zala pene na ngai Mosika te Bernadette Masengo Mouillard Présence na yo ba séjour na nga Golda Bakala Cricket Barbara Bernadette aux vivante BM Tous en na même planète Kasi mona na te Moloko kutu mosika na zamba Soko luki ata na gambela Okokuti ata kokauka Ngambo lingo ata koita Ezomonana te adoyoué Oza wapi Anel Kaba Foussette Reporter jour à Koboyanga Rihanna Domingos Gracienne Tsakala Écoute la musique intelligente Mutambwe fouidie Mutambwe fouidie Tsakala Richard Nazananga baladote Asongo Matuna mouya infraction nangeza je t'aime Nazo fionuka nazo konda nazo sile Hortense Nazo kufa Bernadette Ozawa pima sengu nangai Kolinga moto nzoke ezalaka ngambo BM Bernadette nzoke ezalaka boye Bijou Kambi Solo a déception nzoke lumbaka boye Nzoke ezalaka boye Angèle Kambi
Oh, lovely, lovely. So, what is this singing about here?
Well, he's pretty much, as you can see on the video, and that's why I want you to watch the video first. He is talking to his girl who thinks that he's being a bad boy.
Yeah.
And now the girl's like, you know what, I don't want to have anything to do with you. And now he's coming back as any lover will do, start singing.
Yeah. Now, he's one of the top guys, right? Along with Ferregola, this younger,
That's correct.
these younger guys.
Yeah. He is. He's the upcoming. He's the guy who's in the news right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the Congolese music, and as you can tell, his rumba is. He is there right now. Except that, Vince, you see, the thing is, those Congolese artists, if they don't perform in Paris, in France, they are not there yet.
They haven't made it.
Yeah, but because 10 years, it's been 10 years since this movement, the combatant, as I call them, has prohibited the Congolese to perform. That is affecting all Congolese artists.
So sad.
Yeah.
But he's a great guy. Thanks a lot for sharing.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, Roger Muntu, who is the host of Viewers RM Music Show, and you can also find more of his show on Facebook. That's RM Show -VOA. Find him. And that's our show for today. Thanks a lot for joining us. Be sure to watch our website at viewafrica.com. And for more news, tune in to Viewers Evening Radio Show, Africa News Tonight at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a good night. Monsieur.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Today's episode won't cost you anything.
Freebie.
Let's see what this one is about.
Anna, I love my job.
Oh yeah? Why is that?
I get so many freebies from the bands I write about. CDs, t-shirts, water bottles, even tickets to see them perform.
Wow. The only freebie I ever got from my